Hello everyone, this is assignment 1.4, the accident review presentation. I am Mark Delordo. I'll be speaking about the case with the NTSB Safety Recommendation Letter A96-141. To summarize the events that led up to the incident, it occurred on October 2nd, 1996 at 1:16 local time. The airplane was operated by Aero Peru. It was a B-757 type aircraft. It crashed into the ocean 30 miles off the coast of Peru, unfortunately killing all aboard. The flight was scheduled from Lima, Peru to Santiago, Chile. On the ground, the aircraft was giving the pilot all the correct indications. However, shortly after takeoff, the airspeed and altitude indications were reading too low during the aircraft's ascent. Then, after some discussion and confusion between the pilot, co-pilot, and air traffic control, the aircraft began a descent, and the pilot again received erroneous airspeed and altitude readings that were now too high. Unfortunately, the aircraft collided into the ocean, and at the time of the collision, the pilot's instruments read he was at 95,000 feet altitude and airspeed was indicated at 450 knots. The root cause of the accident was that masking tape was found over the static port openings for the airspeed and altitude indication systems. The NTSB revealed that a common cause for inaccurate altitude and airspeed indications are blocked pitot tubes and static ports, and that even a partial covering of these instruments can cause a slow or lagging airspeed indication and altitude readings, which was part of the events of this accident. And it was revealed that the aircraft had just been polished and cleaned before flight, which was a procedure which called for covering pitot tubes and static ports with tape. However, unfortunately, the wreckage revealed that the tape was never removed prior to flight. So the significance of this problem is that accidents from unreliable airspeed indications still occur and are a very real threat to pilots and passengers, whether it's from maintenance and coverings not being removed or natural causes such as ice or insects and dirt blockages in the pitot tubes. In fact, in 1996, there was another B-757 that crashed from the Dominican Republic, which it was believed that had perhaps a buildup of insects or dirt because the aircraft had not flown for 20 days prior to flight. Although those pitot tubes were never recovered, it was definitely revealed that the cause of the accident was unreliable airspeed and altitude indications, and unfortunately, everyone died in that event as well. More recently, in 2009, Airbus A330, operated by Air France, crashed into the ocean on its way from Brazil to Paris, and that crash was caused by ice forming over the pitot heads as well. So, as a mitigation strategy, unfortunately, all of these accidents had very severe consequences over systems and instruments that should be very easy to maintain. So, immediately upon the investigation of this Aero Peru accident, the FAA published a review to amend maintenance procedures to utilize highly conspicuous covers and warning flags when static ports are covered. And they found companies such as McDonnell Douglas was already manufacturing some of these ports, but it was not standardized to be using them. And it would have been great to have those to prevent this accident. Additionally, in the maintenance procedures, there could have been sign-offs or second sets of eyes, even from maintenance personnel, before finishing the job to double check to make sure that these tapes and FOD and are off of the static port coverings. And finally, there could have been additional education requirements for maintenance personnel just to give them awareness that there could be such critical consequences of leaving something as small as a piece of tape over a static port. My recommendations kind of snowball off of the mitigation strategy so we can learn from the mistakes that happened. And my first recommendation is to educate and hold briefings to raise awareness for all maintenance personnel to know that the static ports and pitot tubes are very critical flight instruments and there could be severe consequences if they are left covered. Then establish perhaps a read and sign procedure that all employees know that they are now to be using highly conspicuous covers and remove before flight tags on pitot-static tubes and static ports. And then finally, mandate that second set of eyes procedure or inspection by-offs on maintenance procedures to have additional people checking to make sure that all these static ports are the coverings are removed, because again it's going to save lives just taking an extra few seconds to have a second set of eyes on these procedures. Here's a list of references I used to review the topic, and thank you for listening to my presentation.